Thomas Frank is set to continue with Christian Romero as Spurs captain after another moment of madness sees the Argentine defender sent off at Old Trafford. The Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust have released their February newsletter in which they state discussions with the club over a number of topics. And Mauricio Pochettino and Jesus Perez appeared on the High Performance podcast with Jake Humphrey, where they discussed many things, but one thing is clear: Poch still loves Spurs. And indeed, another report states that the odds of a Pochettino return after the World Cup have shortened dramatically over the weekend. Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Craig and here are your daily Tottenham news headlines, where I'll be going through all the latest news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube and are not already as yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Like, share and comment below. And if you're listening on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. And finally, please make sure you turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever we go live or upload a video to the channel. Okay, let's get into it. Christian Romero's status as Tottenham Hotspur captain remains unchanged, but the scrutiny surrounding the Argentine defender has intensified as discipline issues on the pitch and controversial comments off it continue to cloud an already turbulent season in North London. Romero, appointed club captain last summer, has long been admired for his aggression, commitment and front foot defending, yet those same traits have increasingly crossed the line, leaving Spurs repeatedly exposed at crucial moments. His recent straight red card, the latest in a growing catalogue of dismissals, has reignited debate about whether Tottenham can afford such volatility from the man tasked with leading the team. Since joining Spurs in 2021, Romero has developed an unenviable disciplinary record. He has now been sent off more times than any other Premier League defender in that period, collecting a mixture of straight reds and second yellow dismissals for mistimed tackles, lunges and confrontations. Even when not dismissed, he is frequently walking a tightrope, with suspensions and accumulated bookings disrupting Tottenham's defensive continuity season after season. This latest incident came at a damaging time for the club, leaving Spurs to play the majority of a key league fixture with 10 men and once again forcing an already stretched squad into reshuffle mode. The consequences extend beyond a single match, though, with suspensions robbing the side of one of its most influential players during a critical run of fixtures. Despite this, head coach Thomas Frank has publicly backed Romero, insisting there are no plans to remove the captain's armband. Internally, the club maintains that Romero's leadership, intensity and standards remain vital in the dressing room, particularly during a campaign marked by injuries, inconsistency and mounting pressure. However, Romero's leadership credentials have also been questioned away from the pitch. In recent weeks, the defender has posted a series of emotionally charged messages on social media that appeared to criticise the club's hierarchy and squad management. One post made during an injury crisis described the situation as unacceptable and disgraceful, a remark widely interpreted as a swipe at Tottenham's owners and recruitment strategy. The comment sparked an immediate reaction among supporters and pundits, with some praising Romero for saying what others would not, while others accusing him of undermining unity at a fragile moment. The club later confirmed the matter was handled internally, and Romero later apologised to teammates, acknowledging that his frustration had boiled over. It was not the first time the Spurs captain had landed himself in hot water online. Earlier in the season, another cryptic post following a defeat hinted at disillusionment with the direction of the club, further fueling speculation about his long-term future and commitment to the project. For a club already wrestling with identity and direction, the Romero situation encapsulates a wider problem. Tottenham value his elite defending and bravery and winning mentality, qualities often cited as missing in previous squads, yet the cost of those qualities is becoming harder to ignore, particularly when discipline repeatedly leaves the team short-handed and leadership messages spill into the public domain. Supporters remain divided. Some view Romero as one of the few players willing to fight, speak out and shoulder responsibility in difficult moments. Others see a captain whose lack of control is emblematic of Spurs' wider struggles to impose authority and stability at the top level. For now, Tottenham are standing firm. Christian Romero remains captain, but as pressure mounts on the pitch and tensions simmer off it, the margin for error is shrinking, and the question of whether Spurs' combative leader can truly lead by example is unlikely to fade anytime soon. The Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust have released their February newsletter, which I will summarise here. The Trust has been in sustained dialogue with Tottenham Hotspur's senior leadership amid mounting supporter dissatisfaction over the club's direction, performance and engagement with fans. In meetings held in January and early February, the Trust raised concerns about recent events, on-pitch struggles and the wider sense of disconnect between the club and its supporters. A central demand has been for clearer, more direct communication from the club's leadership during what many fans see as a critical period of change. In response to growing unrest and visible protests, CEO Vinay Venkatesham issued a public statement ahead of the Aston Villa match. While the Trust welcomed the tone of the statement, particularly the rare acknowledgement that Tottenham's wage structure needs to be addressed, it stressed that one-off communications are simply not enough. Ongoing, transparent dialogue is required to rebuild trust and reassure supporters that meaningful change is underway. This message was reinforced in a subsequent meeting with Vinay, the new Chief Communications Officer Kate Miller and other senior officials, with full meetings and minutes to be published once agreed. The depth of supporter frustration is underlined by the January 2026 5 Principles Survey, which shows confidence in the club's ownership at its lowest level since the survey began. Scores fell sharply across all 5 principles, including ambition to win, investment in the squad, the ability to attract and retain talent, and prioritising fans. Despite higher engagement and more responses than ever, the results paint a stark picture. Fans feel the club is falling short across multiple areas and expect change to lead to real improvements on and off the pitch. Alongside club-level engagement, the Trust continues to represent Spurs supporters at a national level through the Football Supporters Association. Meetings with senior Premier League officials have focused on issues directly affecting match-going fans, including rising ticket prices, the erosion of concessions and the disruption caused by TV scheduling. The fan representatives have called for a 2-year ticket price freeze, stronger protection for senior and youth concessions, and stricter notice periods for televised kick-off changes to prevent unfair travel and financial burdens on supporters. Discussions have also covered financial regulation, with concerns that the new squad cost ratio rules must not simply entrench the dominance of the biggest clubs or further price fans out of the game. The Trust has also stressed the importance of genuinely powerful independent football regulators, arguing that fan engagement must be meaningful rather than symbolic as the football governance bill progresses. And finally, the Trust has engaged directly with the Premier League on VAR and officiating, taking part in technical briefings on refereeing standards, semi-automated offside technology, referee announcements in stadiums and consistency in key decisions such as penalties. While the Premier League has confirmed VAR is here to stay, the Trust continues to argue that any use of technology must improve accuracy without damaging the flow of the game or the matchday experience. Against this backdrop, our Fill Our Home, Find Our Voice campaign remains a central focus. Launched in response to empty seats, declining atmosphere and rising costs pricing out younger fans, the campaign's goal is simple: fill the stadium with people who can afford to attend every match. Strong backing from members has already led to positive initial discussions with the club, and the Trust has committed to continuing to press for all its demands as part of a broader effort to restore trust, atmosphere and ambition at Tottenham Hotspur. The full newsletter can be found on the THST website and across their social media channels. Former Tottenham Hotspur boss Mauricio Pochettino and his deputy Jesus Perez sat down and spoke to Jake Humphrey on the High Performance Podcast, where amongst other topics Pochettino stated that Tottenham was closest to his heart. When asked what club holds the most special place in mine and Jesus Perez's heart, Pochettino replied, "It's very simple, Tottenham. To win the Europa League is good, but it's not enough for a club like Tottenham. It's not enough to challenge for a Carabao Cup or FA Cup or Europa and Conference League. It's a club that should be fighting for the Premier League and the Champions League." Now, I do actually urge you to go and watch the actual podcast, as it really is fascinating viewing. But in summary, Pochettino reaffirmed that he still feels a deep affection and connection to Tottenham, especially because fans still show him love and appreciation when he sees them on the street. This sense of connection was highlighted as something special about his time at Spurs, and the interview suggested that Pochettino feels he has unfinished business at Tottenham, implying he hasn't fully completed what he set out to achieve there. Podcast host Jake Humphrey himself later indicated on social media that he senses he might return to Tottenham in the summer, which reflects the energy and tone Pochettino gave about his feelings towards the club. Team Talk report that Thomas Frank will do well to see out the season as Tottenham Hotspur manager in the wake of another disappointing defeat over the weekend, with the club sucked into a relegation battle and with the odds on him being sacked radically shortened, and with Team Talk learning how an elite manager has now said yes to returning to the job. In a major development, as revealed by correspondent Fraser Fletcher, they can reveal that Mauricio Pochettino would unequivocally accept to return to Tottenham if offered the role, and with sources shedding further light on the precarious position Frank now finds himself in. With matches to follow against Newcastle, Arsenal and Fulham, Fletcher understands that the Spurs board's patience is starting to wear thin, especially given the club's delicate position that now sees them sat on the cusp of a relegation dogfight. Insiders suggest that poor results could precipitate Frank's sacking, paving the way for an interim appointment. Johnny Heitinga, already embedded in the coaching staff, has now emerged as a front runner to steady the ship until the summer. The rationale behind retaining Frank for now amid the turmoil is starting to wear thin, though we can reveal Tottenham's hierarchy is playing the long game and are now eyeing superior managerial options post-World Cup. Pochettino, set to take the USA national team through the tournament, tops that list, despite interest from Manchester United, where he remains on their radar as a potential successor in their own managerial hunt. Pochettino's deep affection for Spurs is said to be unshakable. A sense of unfinished business after his abrupt 2019 departure, despite leading the club to a Champions League final, fuels this narrative. For Poch, Spurs is a pull that's too strong to ignore, one source confided. Despite that, we've been told that Pochettino will want to fulfil his contract with the USA through the 2026 World Cup before officially green-lighting a return to Spurs. But once their interest in their home stage tournament is over, an emotional reunion between Pochettino, still considered a world-class manager, and Tottenham could well be on the cards. Before the weekend, Pochettino was 7-2 to make a return to N17 as the next manager. Those odds are now just 2-1, and with traction growing all the time. Okay, here's my thoughts on all those stories today. Firstly, this Romero situation. Obviously been a lot in the press about this. And I said before, I like to see this from my captain. But it just goes to show that there's so much friction and unrest in that squad. Just the frustration. I like the fact Romero's come out and said what people kind of want to hear, and that he's trying to show that connection with the fans and his own frustration. But I do get the side that your captain can't be a loose cannon. He needs to be a stabilising voice. I think he's just so frustrated about the way things are going at Spurs at the moment. It's clear that he actually does care. Some people say that he doesn't. I think that's the opposite is true. I think he does. But should your captain, I suppose, be coming out on social media and criticising like that, and what good is it doing? He would have been spoken to 100%, and they've said they've dealt with this internally. And I think Frank, to be fair to him, actually handled it quite well in the press conferences, because that's all he seems to be being asked at the moment about Romero. So you don't want to see this all the time, and it just goes to, I suppose it does show the unrest in the camp. and how bad things have got. So, look, I do like the fact Romero's come out and said this, but I can totally see the other side of the coin where it can cause issues for the club, and it's just they would view it that he's not helping at the moment. But I think it's just so frustrating for everybody at the moment. I kind of get it, but get down in the comments, let me know what are your thoughts on the Romero situation. Secondly, the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust newsletter. I mean, just go and read it yourself. That's probably best. I did summarise it there. Some people did say the trust aren't doing enough, and I would think that they don't have as much power as I'd like them to have, to be honest with you. I'd like to see them going into these meetings and read the minutes of those meetings and just say, look, this isn't good enough. The fans, I just hope they're getting across to the fans just how frustrated the fan base is at the moment on a number of topics, whether it's the manager or style of play or whatever it is the club being run how the supporters want it to be run? And probably at the moment you have to say no, but it is a big season of huge change at Spurs, but things aren't going right at the moment, are they? So I just hope that the Supporters Trust are getting that across, and that more importantly the club are listening. But as I say, go and read the newsletter yourself, and that will tell you more than the summary that I put across. But to finish, this podcast that Poch did, it did make me smile. Now, look, some people say that they don't want Pochettino back. You should never go back. I've seen people on social media talking about this that didn't particularly want Poch back, but seeing the way he spoke about Spurs and his love for Tottenham, they've actually changed their mind and actually said, you know what, they can see how good it would be to have somebody like this back at the club and in charge. And just the way he spoke about Tottenham, it was just a breath of fresh air for me. Look, anybody who watches these videos knows I'm a Pochettino fan, but just go and watch it yourself and make your own mind up. I'm sure a lot of you have already, but you know, is a return on the cards for Poch? I can honestly see it happening. I can see the stars aligning, to be honest. He's one of the only few people in the world that could reunite everybody, and he will get time. The fan base will give him time, because sadly another manager is going to need time to get us out of this mess. But just to hear Pochettino speaking there, and Jesus Perez, they both wrote down that their favourite club was Tottenham. He's always said he's got unfinished business. Yes, the squad is massively different to the one he left. Only Ben Davies is still there, and Ben Davies will probably be gone by the time the summer comes around if Poch does return. But, you know, I would say this just makes sense for Tottenham, and you can see how much the man wants to come back to Spurs, and how he speaks about Spurs winning the Premier League and Champions League, and that Europa League was good, and of course it was, but it's not enough for a club like Spurs. That's what you want. That's what you want to hear from your manager. But go and watch the podcast. It was really, really good watch. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But get down in the comments. Let me know what are your thoughts about Pochettino. Can you see him coming back to Spurs? The odds have shortened now, probably because of that podcast, admittedly. But, you know, the bookies are really wrong in this sort of situation. So the fingers crossed. I want Poch back. I don't think that's any secret. So, but get down in the comments. Let me know. How do you feel about Pochettino coming back to Spurs? Some people don't want him back. Some people want to go in another direction. But also get down in the comments. Let me know how you're feeling as a Spurs fan right now, or on any other stories today. And as always, come on you Spurs.